AFI Sci-Fi Alien Women Story in third-person simple English. Wakes to a low sound like a slow bell in the dark lair, lies on cold metal and feels the ship shake against, does not know where her friends. Resh knows the ship fell through a false sky and hit a desert world, stands and holds a rail and breathes and calls out in a calm voice, is anyone there? Thin blue glow lights the passage, walks toward the cargo bay doors are bent and stuck, smoke curls from a broken panel and a soft hum rises and falls through a gap in the doors. She hears a voice speak in broken English, "Human, help me from the back, I will be your alien slave." Forever stops after the word slave and feels a knot in her chest, says in a steady tone, "I will not keep a Slavish," says, "I will help you if you agree to be Frieslands," holds for a breath, and then the voice answers in a small tone, "Help. Me and I will be free." Claire leans into the gap and sees a narrow passage behind the jammed doors. Squeezes through and scrapes her arm but keeps going. Bay smells like dust and hot wires. Sees a figure pinned under a crate that slid when the ship hit the ground. Figure is tall and silver-skinned with dark eyes and pale hair like glass. Threads a second figure, kneels beside her and tries to lift the crateeth. Kneeling one speaks again. "Human, please. Help her." Claire sets her feet and pushes with all her weight. Crate shifts and the trapped figure pulls free with a sharp gasp. Claire drops to her knees and checks the legit is swollen but not broken. Tears. A strip from a thermal blanket and makes a breast. Kneeling one watches with wide eyes, says her name in a slow voice so Claire can hear its sorrow. Claire nods and says, "My name is Claire." Esh points to the one with the hurt leg. Nemeth. Answer comes soft as Sandler. Claire helps Lear. Standler leans on her and bows her head in thanks. Claire guides them both toward the medlocker. She keeps her words simple and clear. "Need water, we need light, we need air." Sorry nods and moves to a console and taps a pattern with long finger spindles. Click, and a set of wall lights. Claire breathes easier. She opens the medlocker and finds a scan wand and gel and smart bandages. Wraps Lear leg and makes a simple crutch from a broken strutchy. Gives them water and protein. Sheetzler eats slow and keeps looking at the door as if it may close by itself. Sorry. Does not each watches Claire and then asks in a careful tone, "We
did.
You help us without a trade." Claire says, "Because people help people and you are people too." Missouri lowers her eyes and says in a whisper, "We're sent to take you and your crew. We're told you must serve our matriarchs. Says you will add strong memory to our weak line." Claire feels anger, but lets it burn and pass like dry wind. Says, "We will not serve a matriarch. We will not be taken." Sorry nods, as if she understands, and looks at Lear and then at the floor. Says, "We do not want this task anymore." Esh says, "After the fall we are cut off from our swarm, are alone here, and the matriarch will forget." Uskler says, "Then we must find a way to live. You must help each other." Lur lifts her head and looks at Claire with a strange light in her eyes. Says, "You are small and soft, yet you lift iron." Claire smiles a little and says the crate was aluminum and leverage is a friend. Sorry asks, "What is leverage?" Claire shows how a bar and a fulcrum turn a hard task into an easy one. Sets a rod under a heavy panel and moves the weight with a short push. Sorry watches with wonder. Whispers, "This is a human way." Claire says, "This is a way for any mind that looks and learns." Outside the ship, the desert is flat and gray under a low sky. Thin towers rise like bones, and the far distanced air is cold and dry, and it tastes like stone. Step out together with masks and packs and a small buggy. Powered by cells. Claire drives while Lear points to a ridge and says, "Shelter thee." Reach the ridge and see a broad cave mouth half hidden by spikes of mineral. Inside the cave, the air is still and the floor is dust, and Salsori runs her hands along the wall and hums. A simple lineth wall hums back and carries the sound deeper. Says, "There is a void ahead." Water pocket. Maybe. Claire says, "We will test the ground and go slow." Marks a safe path with bits of foil and checks the roof for cracks. Find a pool the size of a small room like a mirror in the earthy. Test the water with a strip and it changes to a safe color. Kneels and cups water and closes her eyes as if in prayer. Sorry sets up a small field stove and warms protein sheets into soft bread. Claire looks at the pool and then at the cave mouth and thinks about the tower. Says, "We need shelter, a beacon, a plan for food, and a plan for heat." Sorry says, "We know how to weave stone into light walls can trap the cold outside and keep our heat inside." A Lear Says the towers hold windstring, we can harvest it for power, Claire says. Windstringler points to the thin lines that run between the towers, like spiders silk thee hum, in the light wind, and make a low song Claire studies. The lines in Smilish says we call this a kind of piezo chain, can take the frames and turn the song into Chargethi work for many hours without rest. Sori sings as she sets crystal plates along the cave wall. Plates light up and form a soft barrier that keeps the heat near the floor. Limps, but she climbs the ridge with a hook and a rope. And drops the wind frames to the ground. Claire builds a bridge of rods and straps and uses leverage. Again she plants the frames beside the cave and ties the lines to a simple box she builds from scavenged parts. Box hums and the gauge rise light fills the cave with a steady glow, like evening the sleep. In turns in her watch Claire hears a faint signal from the broken ship. It is a call from Megan, who was on the forward deck. Voice is weak but clear, says Claire. If you hear this, I am in a pod near the tall towers. Pod cracked, and the cold gets in, and I am heard. Sea shapes near me. Claire wakes the others and says, we go no sorry and Lear, do not Argethi pack hot gel water in the scan wand, and move fast in the buggiest they. Near the towers the wind song grows loud, and the ground is broken into plates, and cuts thee find the pod wedged between two stones. Megan lies inside with frost on her hair and a deep bruise on her side. Shadows move near the tower base. Small shapes slide along the ground and make a dry skitter sound. Sori kneels and hums a low Natethi. Shapes pause and sway, as if listening. Shums again, and they drift away. Like Lebs, Claire pulls Megan out and wraps her in warm cloth and rubs her hands and face. Lear watches the ground and taps a rod to mark time for her body, while pain moves through her leg. Thee lift Megan into the buggy and start. Baka, tall shape, rises from behind a stone and blocks the path. It is like a long-limbed bird made of wire, and Bonite's head turns and its eyes glow. Palisori says it is a watcher grown by the tower set guards. The wind string it will not let us pass. Claire does not reach for a weapon. Looks at the slope and the tower and the lines and the watcher feach. Sees a loose plate of stone on a ledge above the path. Pulls the rope from the buggy and runs it over the plate, and then to the buggy frame. She tells Lear to tap the rod. Like before, the watcher tilts its head and listens to the taps. Claire drives forward slow, and the rope tightens, and the plate shifts. She uses leverage. Again, with the buggy as the weight, and the rope as the barth plate slides and drops. With a heavy thud between the buggy and the watcher, just rises, and the watcher steps back and untangles a foot. Claire drives past, and they race over the ridge and down to the cava. Megan breathes fast and then steadies in the warm. Loesch whispers, thank you. Lair holds her hand and says, Ristori sits beside the pool and watches. Ripples spread and Faddish says, your ways are power and mercy in one. You look, and you change the shape of the world. You teach without Chainsler nods and says, our swarm would have taken you by force. Saved us, and also set us free from the swarm. Claire feels a tightness in her throat and closes her eyes for a breath. She says, then let us be one. Small circle with no master says, let us make a place that others may see and choose days. Pass, and the cave becomes a home. Ellie and Taylor and Brooke and Natalie are found in the hills and brought in from wreck pods. Thee are cold and hungry, but Alivessery learns to speak more words and shares the way. Her people build with song, and Crystaller learns to move without pain and shows how to read. The wind song from the lines. Claire draws simple plans in the dust, and the plans become walls and gardens of fungus and salt crops. Megan writes a beacon code that is short and strong and sends it on the tower lines and on a small sky kite that spins from noon to dusk. Others, Kumsom, are human from other ships, drawn by the beacon and the promise of water, food, and safety. Some are of sorry kind, lost from their swarms and afraid to be Alanino. One is turned to Wyak person, brings a skill or a story. Claire asks for stories at the fire each night. Says, tell a time when you feared and still moved your feet. Says, tell a time and you had a sharp choice and took the hard right way. In this way the circle grows strong in the mind before. It grows strong in the hand and night. The wind song changes. It rises and falls like a warning. Lair listens, and her eyes grow whitish. Says, a swarm ship commissary stands in her hands. Tremblish says, the matriarch will take all who hear the swarm. Kalsh Says she will take the water and the food and the lines and the people, Claire. Says we will not run and we will not be. Takanch looks at the towers and the cave and the frames and the beacon and sees a path in her mind, turns off the beacon and dims the cave lights to a near dark glosh, asks Lily and Brooke to move the wind frames to the far ridge. Asks Megan to keep the sky kite up, but with a new code that looks like a broken distress.